Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder. And sorry, apologies for the lack of a show last week. I was traveling for my day job.
Yes, to the great city of Las Vegas.
Yep. Which unfortunately, by nature of being a work trip, I didn't even have time to gamble.
Oh,
Oh, that's okay. That's what the stock market is for, right? Especially this last week or so.
yeah.
The great thing about that joke is that in almost any week one could watch this VOD. The joke actually probably works.
yes, it would. Yes. Well, we have returned and on our new Wednesday time, and if you are returning, welcome back. If you're new, what we do is we critique stuff. We
From our corners.
Yes, from our corners, from my corner down in Florida, and DB's up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yep. Kitty corner parts of the country when you get down to it.
Yeah, yeah. And we review something new or contemporary, and then something classic, and we've also got some solo stuff to talk about, as well as one movie that we watched and don't really. We'll discuss it and not really get too in depth with it.
It'll be quick hits. Basically, we gave ourselves some extra content to do an extra long show, and then most of the things we picked out as review topics didn't warrant much discussion.
Yeah. Yes, but to start us off for tonight, we're going with Harlem Night.
Yes, Harlem Nights, the Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor movie, also featuring Red Fox. And it's kind of hard not to see this one as Eddie Murphy in 1989 trying to get the baton for being like an edgy black comedian passed to him from Richard Pryor.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. He was the writer and director and producer of the movie.
Yep.
It's apparently he made the movie for two reasons. One, he wanted to do a period piece, which this takes place in the 1930s, and he wanted to work with Richard Pryor because Pryor was like his big influence.
Yeah, and you know what? I can't really fault him for making a movie as an excuse to do those two things.
Yeah.
The plot, to be brief, is that Eddie Murphy's character, forget his name, we'll just go by actor names here, is the adopted son of Richard Pryor, who runs it's what starts off as a small speakeasy in New York that eventually gets big enough to attract the attention of the Italian mob who wants their cut.
Yes. That's basically the crux of the movie is the mob is moving in on their club. They want to take it over because they're making like $20,000 a month, which back in 1938 was a lot of money.
Yeah. And I would say that the tone of this is a bit like Beverly Hills Cop, where it's like you have scenes that are kind of ridiculous mixed in with pretty straightforward action scenes.
Yeah, like there's one whole scene in there where where Eddie Murphy is he's fighting one of the illegal things they do in this club. They have two big illegal things are gambling and prostitution, and he gets into a fight with the madam from the prostitution side, who's played by Della Reese from Touched by an Angel.
Oh, okay. Is that what she's from?
Yeah, that's what she's from.
Well, in this one, he gets decked by an angel, but
Well, he gets decked by an angel, and then he shoots her pinky toe off.
Yeah. The other scene is that I don't even want to spoil this one because it's such a good scene. There's a bit where he gets chased by a group of gangsters, including Arsenio Hall. And Arsenio Hall, his sobbing performance is just great. Like as he's like shooting bullets out of it. My brother.
He's just crying the whole time, no matter what's happening. He just keeps crying.
Um, I would say that it's a pretty typical gangster movie. Like maybe our standards are just a bit high after watching The Untouchables a few weeks back.
Yeah, yeah.
There isn't really a whole lot to dig into aside from it's got good performances. It's definitely Eddie Murphy's movie more than Richard Pryor's movie, which I did find myself wishing there was a bit more Pryor in it.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
And I kind of wish that the scenes that Eddie and Pryor weren't in together were more funny. They weren't really that funny.
yeah, they were. It was more just like a straightforward father and son relationship with them.
Yeah, yeah,
But I can't. I also can't say this is like a bad time or anything. It's just not amazing.
yeah. It's almost like it needed more. It needed to be fleshed out more, and it needed more time in the oven.
Uh, Yeah. Oh, you mean as in like more development time, not more on-screen time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? Because it was already was it a little bit over 2 hours?
yeah. Just under 2 hours.
Yeah. The another actor who got my attention there was Michael Lerner playing Bugsy Calhoun. He's a character actor who I had seen in various things, including what was it? I think it was Beautician and the Beast and Elf, among other things. Um, no, Princess Diaries. That's it. He made a good gang lord. Like
Yeah, yeah,
he was very intimidating in all of his scenes.
yeah. He was. Yeah. Um, and hey, Ninja, good to see you.
Hey, Ninja.
Yeah, and I also liked uh, the cop in the movie.
Oh yeah, the Harvey Bullock type guy.
Yeah, who's played by Danny Aiello.
Hmm.
He was kind of one of these like tough guy character actors that popped up a lot in the 80s. Most people remember him from Do the Right Thing, which was Spike Lee's first big movie.
Was he the guy who ran the pizzeria?
Yeah,
You know, I've never seen that movie, but as soon as you mentioned that, I said, "Oh, that's got to be him,"
yeah, yeah.
just from clips I've seen.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so like this is available to stream on Paramount Plus. Oh, I will say this has kept up the trend that every time I watch a period piece gangster movie, I learn a new and interesting slur.
Yeah.
Because there's a term they were using for the uh, black gangsters where I had to go, wait, what's that? And once I reverse engineered it, I said, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you too. Yeah, I never heard that term before. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
But yeah, again, it's not an amazing movie, but it's a solid enough time. So if you have a Paramount Plus subscription and you've already seen The Untouchables recently, actually maybe wait until The Untouchables has worn off a bit because there's nothing to match Sean Connery's performance in that one in this movie.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
But yeah, it's just not something we have to go into in depth on.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of a lack of depth,
Oh,
so
yeah.
so Daniel, we were looking at for a third thing to review because I had originally suggested the animated movie The Mitchells versus the Machines, and
Yeah.
you invoked your veto power to say, "Please, no, don't make me watch this. I'm going to
Yeah,
cringe out of my skin."
yeah,
To
yeah, I did.
paraphrase.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did. I got about 10 minutes into it and I'm like, oh no, no, I can't do it. It's no, it's too much. Yeah, and then I recommended this movie, and I watched it, and then DB said got I think was the same with this movie. He got like 10-15 minutes in. He's like, I can't do this.
And it's interesting because it's for entirely different reasons. Because for Mitchell's versus the Machines, you were being assaulted by millennial writing and comedy.
Yeah.
With this one, I was just being assaulted by a lack of reason to care.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So this movie, it's a Netflix Japanese produced movie. Apparently, it's based on manga, but I've never heard of the manga. And not to be confused with another anime movie called Demon City Shinjuku. They're completely different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not surprised that there's a manga behind it because the group of gangsters with animal masks feels very much like an 80s seinen manga type of thing to do.
yeah, it did. Yeah. Yeah, so this movie is about a hitman named Sakata, and he does one more job. It's kind of the typical hitman does one more job before he retires because he's got a wife and daughter, much like John Wick. In fact, this movie has a lot of similarities to John Wick. Um, but what happens is when he gets home, these four guys wearing the animal masks that DB referenced break into his house. They kill his wife and I'll say seemingly kill his daughter, and then shoot him in the head because they're trying to take over the city and protect it from a demon that pops up every 50 years. And they think that Sakata is the demon. Spoiler alert: there are no actual demons in this movie. It's just like superstitious nonsense. And
Now, the fact that you're giving that away makes it sound like the reveal isn't or isn't remotely interesting.
it's not. No. But he's yeah. Sakata is basically the too angry to die character because they flash forward 12 years, and he's basically in this vegetative state. And but then as soon as he sees one of the guys that killed his wife and daughter, he all of a sudden snaps out of it and he becomes normal again. And that's when he goes on this rampage for revenge. And I'm going to drop another little spoiler here. The daughter didn't actually die.
What was she like? Did she become like the mall for one of the mob bosses or something?
Yeah, basically, yeah, one of the mob bosses raises her as his own kid, and he's a real perv.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of sad that they went that way. Not just because
Uh,
it's a little distasteful, but because wouldn't it be more interesting if uh, he thought of or if his daughter had been given a good life by his enemy, and it's like he has the moral choice of getting revenge or letting her continue to be happy.
yeah, yeah,
Like
that,
just
that
that sort of moral dilemma.
yeah, that would have been better, but no. It's just this movie is just basically like nonstop fighting, blood, gore, and just nasty, nasty stuff. Yeah, I can't really recommend this movie. Even if you're like really into your real violent, bloody action movies, it's just yeah, it's just I didn't care for it. It's very very generic. And I would say if you want a movie about a hitman who goes off and gets revenge, I'd stick with John Wick.
Yeah, see, where I jumped out of it was when I said to myself, I don't care about anything that's going on right now, and there's just feels like there's this lack of substance in the movie. And you don't have to be Shakespeare with it. You just have to have things like a main character you sympathize for, villains who have something of a flavor, creative action scenes, which I didn't feel like the action scenes in this one were terribly creative, at least in the first couple of scenes I watched.
They weren't. It was basically just him going around slashing people up or shooting them, or yeah, yeah.
So kind of the type of thing that would have been straight to DVD back in the day.
Oh yes, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Probably something produced by Canon Films in the '80s.
Well, speaking of straight to DVD quality action movies,
Oh yes.
before I went on my trip, I went and saw A Working Man, which, yeah, if you're tuning in on the separate VOD, I just kind of gave a rundown of Demon City and what you would have kind of needed for Demon City to work. And what do you know? This movie more or less has it. So this is a Jason Statham movie from was it David Ayer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name off the top of my head. So basically, they brought the gang back together from last year's The Beekeeper, and it has a very similar style to it, and it's based on a series of novels by comic book top tier talent Chuck Dixon. One aspect where there's one villain at the end who seems like he's not resolved yet. Well, there are 12 books in this series. And this was actually, I believe it was produced and co-written by Sylvester Stallone, who is actually friends with Chuck Dixon. The reason that they met was that Chuck had written a Expendables comic tie-in, and Stallone read it and actually appreciated that he seemed to take the franchise seriously. And that he got like the voices of the different characters down.
Yeah.
So I feel like Jason Statham, well, I saw a tweet from the Critical Drinker that said Jason Statham has been 45 for the last 25 years, which is accurate. The man doesn't seem to age.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he looks good. I mean, yeah.
And I've only seen a few of his movies, but it seems like you can sum them all up by Jason Statham is a retired or actually, I'll put it Mad Lib style. Jason Statham is a retired military person of some sort until a insert type of friend or family acquaintance here is kidnapped and or attacked by insert trendy criminal organization here. In this case, he's a construction worker who is former special forces. Also, hey, Edwin.
Hey, Edwin.
So he was former special forces, currently working at a construction site run by the Mexican friend from Ant-Man. What's his name?
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena, who is always just a joy every time I see him. He has a relatively minor role in this one, but you feel for him. And you feel for him because his daughter's captured by Russian human traffickers.
Oh, jeez.
And it's up to Statham to save them.
Yeah.
Now, what I will say about this one is that I think I have a minority opinion where I liked this better than The Beekeeper. And now I will say that there are some criticisms. There is a scene where the characters basically end up in the same position at the end of it as they were at the start of it. So it's kind of an unnecessary scene.
Oh.
But you're not really there for an efficient, tight plot. You're there to watch Jason Statham progress through an increasingly unlikely number of incidents without great bodily harm to himself. And the man is satisfying to watch fight. And what I like about watching him in particular is that, and this is kind of why I like this better than The Beekeeper, they're usually good at framing his action scenes so that you can see how he actually manages to win them. Like he is usually dealing with multiple people at once, but he's usually using the environment, improvising weapons. He has a bunch of military gear that he's kept somehow. Well, and you see how he gets more of it later, but so he uses that to get an intel, plan ambushes. He's usually using his environment and tools to their maximum efficiency. Beekeeper was similar, but in my opinion, Beekeeper kind of went a bit too far at the end because, like in the whole last scene, I kept thinking to myself, okay, how the heck has he not been shot yet? He's walking around in the open in the middle of like a courtyard at a mansion, and there are multiple people around who want him dead. This one, I would say that there are some better action scenes in Beekeeper than this, but the last scene in this one felt more plausible just because they kept with the same sort of he's mostly controlling the geography type thing going.
Okay. Oh.
Now, I will say that I thought that the character who plays his daughter, who he's currently fighting with his grandfather for custody of, excuse me, her grandfather, his dead
Yeah.
wife's father,
Yeah.
for custody. I thought she was a little wooden, but she's also like 8, so it's
Yeah. Yeah.
she's all right for a kid actor.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was kind of interesting was that, um, and I don't really want to start seeing this. This movie is definitely conservative coded because, what do conservatives hate? Well, they hate human traffickers. Did you see how much movie or how much money um, The Sound of Freedom made? Uh,
Yeah.
oh, we want to make it clear that his grandfather, or excuse me, that his wife's
Father-in-law. Yeah.
father,
Yeah.
his father-in-law is just doesn't like him because they're different people, and he's kind of a soy boy. Oh, I got it. He'll wear yoga pants and do yoga on screen a few times, like that. Like, I don't necessarily want to start seeing that in every movie that's meant to appeal to the right, because it's about as lazy as, oh, we need to show this bad guy's bad. I just show him being racist, maybe wearing a red hat, not the red hat, but a red hat. People get the idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I will say that I definitely enjoyed myself. It was a good time at the theater, and I would. This is currently in theaters. I would say if you liked The Beekeeper, go give it a watch. If you didn't, it'll be on Amazon streaming soon enough. And I like this new reality where Amazon puts their streaming movies out in theaters first to give you a chance to just go to the theater and have an experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you taking notes, Disney?
Yeah, or for that matter, Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, Netflix craps out enough movies in a year. Come on, give them a month in the theaters first.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do fun things like, oh, are you a Netflix subscriber? Here's your coupon for $1 off your ticket.
Yeah.
And that way you can get additional revenue streams.
Yeah. Yeah. Who'd have thunk it?
What a crazy concept.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy idea.
But that's really all I have to say about that one, just because it's a fairly straightforward movie. I jokingly said it was DVD quality before, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Some great action movies have come out on DVD because they didn't necessarily have to worry about pleasing a studio or a movie audience.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Speaking of, go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to say, speaking of not getting to please a movie audience,
Yeah.
we decided to finally watch The New Mutants. This movie was kind of infamous because it was in development hell for a while.
Yeah, and it's the release date kept getting pushed back and pushed back. I think it was supposed to come out like in 2018 or 2019.
I wish I remember what Marvel movie I saw a trailer for this in front of.
Yeah, and then
Because it was earlier than you would think.
yeah, and then uh, then the big C happened, so that just pushed it back even further.
Yeah, but they released it in 2020. But I think that's because by this time, I think what probably delayed it. I know they had to do some reshoots, and I recall people. I went into this movie hearing that you could tell when certain scenes were reshot because the teen actors had visibly aged. I didn't catch that.
I didn't either. Yeah, and Ninja's wondering why we watched this movie. And he said my soul hurt. One of his favorite comic book runs.
Yeah. So I think the other thing that killed this was that Fox. So this was like when X-Men was starting to peter out under Fox's watch.
Yeah.
They had gotten a second burst of life with the new class version, and then it lost momentum again because they can't keep nice things going. And then I think they knew that Disney was buying them out and didn't care about this movie.
Yeah, and that was certainly true with Dark Phoenix. Yeah, where just like they just kind of put something together there and threw it out in theaters.
Yeah, and so yeah, Ninja has a better perspective on this particular storyline than we do. So my experience with the New Mutants comics was my local library had some of the later run. It was things like when the death of Cypher and things like that. So I don't know where exactly that lines up in the run. So,
Yeah.
and I also know a lot of these characters from when they were in Peter David's run of like first run of X Factor and his second run of X Factor, actually, in the case of some of them.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I wasn't really the only two characters in this movie that I was familiar with were Magic and Sunspot, because Magic had been in the X-Men animated series, and then Sunspot was in X-Men '97. The other characters I wasn't too familiar with, because I'll be honest, I really don't know much about the New Mutants.
Yeah, the New Mutants was a weird series. It's also what gave us Rob Liefeld and X-Force when they decided to have him take over and make it a bit more masculine, for God's sakes. Because he tells stories about what New Mutants was like before he took over, and he knows like the team was mostly women, and they had an issue where they were at the mall, and like, I mean, as memory serves, the character work was fine. It's just that it was Ann Nesenti, who is a great comic book writer, or at least used to be.
Yeah.
But it might have been her falling into familiar patterns after too long in the book.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Um, but let's talk about the actual movie itself here.
Yes.
But yeah, I've never read the actual Demon Bear saga. What really struck me about this movie?
What's that?
If the Demon Bear saga is at all as presented here, did Chris Claremont just get jealous and want to have his own Raven from Teen Titans?
Probably.
Because at least as presented here, Danny Moonstar really reminded me of Raven and her relationship with Trigon. In the sense of it's like, oh, she has this great ill-defined power and it's tied to some sort of demonic force that could well up from inside her.
Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me if that wasn't the case.
Yep. Okay. And Ninja confirms my memory that Chris Claremont was the one who started the series off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And what I love about the comic book is that it's also designed to be a bit softer than X-Men in a sense, as memory serves. Like you can still have character death and things like that, but it was more about characters like relationships, and these weren't like top tier superheroes. Like heck, the reason that Cypher died was that he was a mutant whose power is that he could speak any language. Titans of superhero-dom these weren't necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very low tier.
Yeah. Now, as far as the movie itself goes, it was an interesting choice because they basically and Ninja can disagree with me here, but I think these characters were actually fairly true to the Claremont 80s run originals. But they tilted the emphasis of all the characters to be more horrific.
Yeah. And Ninja says it wasn't from the inside, the demon bears, and okay, manifestation of the rage of the Cheyenne people, literally race swap people.
So what? It's like if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That one comic strip where
Yeah, no. Ooh.
But anyway, so not having any context, I am vaguely aware that the demon bear exists. That is all that I knew coming in.
Yeah.
So Ninja, I'm going to actually make the case that the movie is not as bad as you might have heard, and if you can accept that they changed some things, is actually worth a shot. But what they did here was they basically took at least some of the initial team of 80s New Mutants characters, and he proceeds to, they played up the horror angle of all their powers.
Yeah, yeah, because the movie starts off with with the demon bear attacking Danny Moonstone's reservation, and then she ends up waking up in this hospital, and she sees what's her name crawling through the ventilation shaft.
Oh, Rain.
Rain, yeah. And she meets the doctor. What was the doctor's name?
Doctor was
Reyes.
Dr. Reyes. Yeah.
Dr. Reyes. Yeah, and we basically Danny finds out that this hospital there are 4 other teenagers there, and they're all mutants, and they all have different mutant powers, and they're there because their powers manifested, and bad things happened when they did, and so now they're basically in this old asylum where they have to figure out how to control their powers, and Dr. Reyes tells them that if they can, then her superior will recommend that they move on to the next stage of the program. And of course, as one might expect, it's not all is what it seems, and of course the other kids in this hospital start having these weird nightmarish visions,
which conveniently lets you know exactly how they ended up there.
Yeah. So like, for instance, with Rain, she her power is starting to manifest, where she started turning into a wolf, and this Catholic priest thought she was a demon and tried to exorcise the demon, or whatever whatever he was trying to do.
Yeah, it's implied to be a bit like what happened between Rogue and Magneto and X-Men 97, except no one's going to ship that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Rain's power is that she turns into a werewolf. Or actually, she just turns into a wolf in this one.
Yeah.
In previous versions, she would have like in-between steps.
Okay.
Where she'd be more or less furry, depending on how close she wanted to be to a wolf. Danny Moonstar is our main character. I will say that Blue Hunt is perfect for this type of. It has a bit more of a Skinemax angle to it, since it is horror.
Yeah.
And the camera does enjoy her.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know why it's suddenly the whole world wants to talk with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Rain was played by Maisie Williams, which is a name that is vaguely familiar, but I don't know why.
I believe she was on Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay, that explains why. Vaguely familiar, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
Then you've got Anya Taylor-Joy playing Magic, aka Ilyana Rasputin. There's no mention of her big brother Colossus, but she was just her brain was broken by human traffickers. She needed Jason Statham to show up to help out, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's kind of the well, not kind of, she is a bitch.
Yeah, she's the mean girl.
Yeah, she's the mean girl. Yeah,
but you can tell that she's like damaged, and so she's using her harsh attitude to keep people at arm's length.
Yeah, and then we got our two male mutants. We got Sam Guthrie, who the actor who plays him was Charlie Heaton, he's on Stranger Things. He's one of the kids.
Okay, never really watched Stranger Things, so I didn't have an opinion on him going in, but I thought he did a good job. He felt true to Sam from the comics.
Yeah, and his power is that he can like basically jump and what do they call them? Cannonballs?
Cannonball. In the comics, he could he could basically expel kinetic energy, and while he was in the middle of flying, he was surrounded in a bubble of energy that made him mostly invulnerable, and also why they call him Cannonball, because it looked like he was a cannonball streaking through the sky.
Yeah. Okay.
In
Yeah.
this one, he hasn't quite figured things out yet, so he often does hurt himself and others.
Yeah. Yeah. Throughout the movie, he's got a cast on his arm, and he's always got a like black eye and everything. And we find out that he was working in the coal mines in Kentucky with his dad, and that's when his powers came into being, and then he accidentally killed his father and the whole mining crew, caused a cave in.
Yep. And then finally bringing up the rear in terms of screen presence and importance to the story is Henrique Zaga playing Roberto da Costa, aka Roberto da Costa, aka Sunspot, whose power is that he gets fiery, and while he's fiery, he's generically invincible. Although they don't really play it, or excuse me, super strong, but they don't really play it that way here.
Yeah, there's even like a running gag where like if he gets too excited, he gets too hot.
Yeah. And so, again, all these characters very much resemble their comic book counterparts. Rain is Catholic and deals with her anger and other desires. I admit I don't know the most about Danny Moonstar. I don't even know that I've ever read anything where she was a major character.
Yeah.
The characters I have a strong beat on from the comics feel very true to themselves, or at least they have it's like they read the series and understood them well enough to adapt for a very different version of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I overall, I think that um, given the plot of the movie where they're all stuck in this hospital, I thought that it did its job in terms of like keeping it an insular story and focusing on the characters, on their interpersonal relationships, and rather than like the overarching like universe of the X-Men franchise, which this movie is very ambiguous as to when or where the it takes place in, because they
Right.
reference like, so like they think Dr. Reyes' superior is Charles Xavier.
Right. They know who he is. They know that he sits in a wheelchair because they make reference to that. And yeah, they know who the X-Men are and are open to the idea of being X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah, and but then they of course they as Danny Moonstar's powers start manifesting more and more, the other kids start seeing the horrible visions of, for the reasons why they're in the hospital. And Dr. Reyes soon realizes that like she's very powerful, and something needs to be done about her.
Yep. So what's also interesting here is that this might have been meant to set up a future X-Men villain, since you find out that the place is being run by the Essex Corporation.
Yes.
Which means Mr. Sinister was probably on the plans. Did he appear in the Apocalypse movie at all?
He didn't, but he was referenced, much like in this movie.
Okay, so this is kind of their Kang the Conqueror, where it's a character who was meant to be the next big thing that never really got the chance to pay off.
Yeah.
Now, I've said before on the show that I generally don't like horror movies, but this is the type of horror I can usually get into because it is more based on the characters. And I think what I usually dislike about horror is the sense that the characters don't really have the ability to affect what's going on around them.
Yeah. I noticed that. It's it's similar to the third Nightmare on Elm Street movie. It kind of has in that movie there, that's about a group of teens who have like different like mental issues and sleep issues, which kind of plays into with with Freddy Krueger, because that Freddy Krueger's whole thing was going into people's dreams. So it kind of has a similar. This movie had like a similar vibe to it. Yeah.
And yeah, I come away from it feeling mostly positive about it. Maybe that's because my expectations were super low just based on reputation. Maybe it's because after watching Madam Web and Craven, there was nothing like this looks like Shakespeare compared to those.
Yes, it was. Yes, it is.
I'd say the only downsides to it are a bit of dodgy CGI, and also the question of are there other mutants that the Essex Society has taken in that have gone on to serve Mr. Sinister? Nobody here seems to have ever seen anybody graduate.
Yeah.
There's also a few nice visual flourishes, like there's a bubble around the whole place, like a force field kept up by Dr. Reyes.
Yeah.
That at one point, Rain takes Danny outside, and they watch the rain come down on the bubble, and that was creative to think up, and also just a nicely done effect.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, now that I'm doing the compliment, it's time for the criticism in the compliment sandwich.
Yeah.
The CGI in the back half of the movie when they start seeing monsters, a little bit dodgy.
Yeah.
Like there are some ones called the faceless ones or the faceless people or whatever Magic called them that could have dealt with a little more shadow to hide them a bit.
Yes. Yeah.
And the Demon Bear doesn't look the best, although again I've seen worse in Craven recently.
Yeah.
I could at least take the proceedings seriously.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? It was something about the CG. Oh, the dragon, little dragon puppet that Magic had.
Oh, yeah, Lockheed.
Yeah. Lockheed wasn't Magic's, right? That was
it was Kitty Pryde's, yeah.
Kitty Pryde's, yeah.
But also that did occur to me as I was watching this, where I said, man, Kitty Pryde is never going to get a proper adaptation ever, is she? Because unfortunately, the generation of X-Men fans who knew her is, I think, smaller than the generation of X-Men fans who would expect Jubilee to be in the same role thanks to the cartoon.
Yeah. And and on top of that, the actress who played Kitty Pryde in the X-Men movies isn't an actress anymore.
Oh, what is she now?
But it was well before the actor is now Elliot Page.
Oh, that's right. It was Ellen Page. Okay.
Ellen Page, yeah, and then now Elliot Page.
Well, that's just doubly unfortunate.
Yeah.
Am I misremembering? Did they have more Kitty Pryde than I thought they did? Because was that in the Next Class movies?
Well, she was in
Age of the Future Past or Days of the Future Past.
Yeah, she was in Days of Future Past. Yeah, and she's the one who I don't know if you've seen it, but she's the one who sends Wolverine to the 1970s.
I have.
Yeah.
I guess I might be, if she was in other movies, I might be misremembering how or mixing her role with but she was in the second round of them, right? Not the original set.
Well, she was in X-Men: The Last Stand.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the one in the scene when she's running from Juggernaut through the walls.
Oh yeah. Man, most of that movie I have blanked out. I will fully admit.
Well, yeah. It was such a memorable and wonderful movie. I mean,
yeah. Anyhow, back to New Mutants.
Yes.
Again, I think if this had been ready to go in 2018, This could have actually carved out a niche for itself, like, release it around Halloween, superhero themed horror movie. Could have sold some trade paperbacks of the original series.
Yeah.
But by 2020, I can see why they just wanted to bury this thing, because
Yeah.
it didn't really fit any of the universes that they would have been developing at the time.
Yeah, and it was a victim of the big C, and it was a victim of the Disney buyout. Yeah, just a lot of things working against it.
Yep. I will say that um, as far as just being kind of, yeah, just as far as being a character study with some horrific elements, it actually was much better than I anticipated.
Yeah, yeah, I thought so too. And I remember getting to, kind of getting when it got close to the third act, I'm kind of going, oh, this is actually keeping my interest. I'm actually kind of enjoying myself.
Yeah, it's so yeah, sometimes if you go in with low expectations, it's hard to not meet them.
That's true. Yeah.
But also, again, like, this is so much better than anything Sony made with their Spider-Man universe.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Heck, if you said, DB, would you rather watch the second Spider-Verse movie, or would you rather watch the New Mutants again? You know what? New Mutants has an ending.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't have an inconsistent animation style. Sidebar: when I was on the airplane going back from Vegas, someone in the seats in front of me was watching the Spider-Verse movie, and that low frame animation style just does not look good, like on a small screen, especially. Like,
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
it can kind of fool you when you're watching it, but but when you also intermix it with high frame rate animation from other characters in the movie, it just seems distracting.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I've never been a fan of that animation style. I'll be honest.
Honestly, it's like somebody took claymation with its lower frame rate and decided, what if I didn't do it with clay? And you don't have an excuse to do a slower frame rate.
Yeah. Uh, yeah.
And also, Ninja, I've been reading your comments. Right. Here's the thing: you are technically part of the generation of X-Men fans who would know Jubilee, but
Yeah.
you're also the type of conscientious fan who will go back and read old things from the series.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the number of people who watched the X-Men cartoon growing up who didn't know anything about the 80s Claremont series is a very wide Venn diagram.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, this movie, yeah, worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have the streaming services, it's on Disney Plus and Hulu.
And I picked it up for $5 digitally because I don't have access to Hulu at the moment, but you can also rent it for $4. So
Yeah.
I said, if I actually enjoy this thing, I'll feel silly for not having spent the extra dollar to just have it permanently.
Yeah. Which is what they're counting on.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, you know what I've really missed the last few years?
What's that?
Actual comedy with an edge.
Yeah. Yeah. Case in point, Tropic Thunder.
Man, watching this movie just made me realize what we've lost.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm a fan of Ben Stiller. I remember at the time when he was at the peak of his career, it was popular for people to crap on him and say he wasn't funny. Screw that noise.
Yeah.
The man was a comedy great.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I mean, yeah, between this movie, Zoolander, Starsky and Hutch. Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, he was great. Yeah, he had a great run there in the 2000s.
Yeah, it's here. Meet the
Oh, Meet the
parents.
Parents. Yeah.
Um, the villain role in Dodgeball.
The Fleur.
There's also wasn't he also in that one Chasing Amy or whatever that
Along Came Polly.
Along Came Polly. That's right.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen that one. But
It's all right. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But this movie, you could not get this made today, and I mean this in a few ways.
Yeah.
First off, you have Robert Downey Jr., who I believe had just come off of making Iron Man, so people were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Is in blackface for almost the entire movie.
Yeah.
Actually, let's take a step back, because the way the movie opens is actually pretty genius, because
Yeah.
they basically show 4 trailers to give you an idea of our 4 main characters.
Yeah.
And like everybody is playing a pastiche of a different popular actor or actors at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, you got Ben Stiller, who's basically playing like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, type of actor. In his was what was it, Scorcher 6, I think.
Scorcher 6, where the world had frozen.
Yeah. And you got Jack Black, who's kind of playing a cross between like Chris Farley and Eddie Murphy. The the over the top comedic actor who has a bit of a drug problem.
And in all of his movies plays multiple characters using fat suits and prosthetics.
Yeah. And then of course you got Robert Downey Jr., who's I would say probably 90% Russell Crowe, I think is who they're spoofing, with a little bit of Colin Farrell.
See, I was kind of getting also vibes of what's his name, who played Batman in the
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, a little bit Christian Bale too, just because. And I don't know if he would have had this reputation at the time, but the dude zigzags his weight for his different roles and gets really deep into things.
Yeah.
But like that sort of serious auteur actor.
Yeah. And
also, this is a movie where technically Iron Man and Spider-Man make out off camera.
Yes.
Since Tobey Maguire's in the gay priest movie with him.
Yeah. And then last but not least, we got Al Pacino, who is basically just your standard rapper turned actor, like like Ice Cube or Ice-T, or guys like that. And they're making a Vietnam War movie that's based on a book written by a Vietnam veteran, played by Nick Nolte, who has hooks for hands because he lost his hands in the war.
Yeah, which is why people pay attention to the book, because sorry, I'm just kind of laughing helplessly. So first you see the trailers, then you cut to them filming the scene in progress. After they give a quick rundown of Vietnam. 4 men survived this experience. 3 of them wrote books. 2 books were published. 1 book was turned into a movie, and that is this movie.
Yeah.
And so you have actually a pretty good opening action scene that eventually you realize it's just them doing a cut.
Yeah.
And you quickly set up Ben Stiller's character is he's trying to act, but he really can't.
Yeah. He does the Willem Dafoe moment from Platoon, where he's got his arms out and he's getting shot, and then he's there with Robert Downey Jr., Kirk Lazarus, and he's they're supposed to have this like emotional scene, and Robert Downey Jr.
like spitting and sobbing and making himself messy.
Yeah. And Stiller's just kind of like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah. And so they blow the most expensive shot in the movie. So Nick Nolte, I know this will be hard to believe given his reputation, but he talks the director into doing something stupid.
Yeah.
A little crazy. They just go out into the woods to do some guerrilla shooting. It's like, no trailers, no explosions, just or no special effects. There are cameras hidden all over the place. I'm going to follow you, and we're going to get some real shooting out here.
Yeah.
Then the director steps on an old French landmine and dies instantly.
It's so it's like, oh, well, he thinks it's fake. Like, oh, ha ha ha, fake
What, you think I don't know what a prop head looks like?
Yeah, it's just the blood. It's just corn syrup.
It's just blood flavored corn syrup, standard stuff.
Oh,
man.
but yeah.
Where this movie also, it's amazing that it manages to succeed. Think about how often the general public rejects movies that are about making movies or about the business.
Yeah,
it's like the Hollywood loves those movies about itself, but the general audience can often skip them. That just goes to show that they were smart with how they chose to portray things, because it's all over the top portrayals. Like, everybody can get these parodies. Like, even if you don't know who Colin Farrell is, or if you don't know exactly who Downey Jr. is parodying, you can wrap your head around, oh, he's an actor who gets way too deep into his roles.
Yeah.
I don't break character until I get to the DVD commentary.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you got Ben Stiller, who's the he's the action hero who's trying to be taken seriously as an actor. So he does, Simple Jack.
Oh, I'll see you again in my head movies. And I had never noticed this detail before, but the way they portray him is he runs through fields trying to hit butterflies with a big hammer. That's like the most ridiculous visual.
Oh.
This is also Jack Black before he became insufferable.
Yes.
Because it is perfect casting to have him as a drug-addled fat comedian on edge.
Yeah. He's always going off to try to do to do his drugs, and what kills me is when they're riding off in the helicopter. He's like, I forgot to bring my vitamins,
my jelly beans,
my jelly beans.
You know who I always completely forget about from this movie, though?
Yeah.
It's was it Jay Baruchel?
Oh yeah.
That's Kevin Sandusky. He's kind of the only other thing I know him from is as the voice of Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah. I've seen him in a few other things. He plays. He was in the Schwarzenegger show on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, he played his Schwarzenegger's daughter's boyfriend, and he was also in Fanboys. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
We ought to try to watch that and review that sometime. But he was good in that movie. Yeah, they tried to make. I want to say like in the mid 2000s, they tried to make him a thing, and it just or like late 2000s, early 2010s, they tried to make him a thing, and he just didn't really catch on.
Yeah, like he's kind of forgettable even in this movie, even though technically speaking, he's like the voice of reason who keeps these crazy people from totally spinning out.
Yeah, and because he's the only one who like knows how to read the map, and
he paid attention to all the briefings and education things they had. He actually read the book, which everybody is shocked by.
Yeah, and I think he was like the only one who went through boot camp.
That's right, like the fake boot camp to get them ready to act like soldiers.
Right. Yeah.
It also occurs to me that he's the one they didn't give a trailer to at the start out of the main cast, which is interesting. Like, I wonder if a trailer existed for him and what it would have been like.
Yeah. I would have been
But
curious to see. Although I think they kind of hint that he's like just like such a young up and coming actor that he's just getting started. This is like his first big role in a movie.
yeah, I'm trying to think of like what you would possibly parody him with. I guess you could have him being a minor character in the background or something. Like,
Yeah,
but I think it's because it did, I guess that's why he's not as memorable as he's the one guy who doesn't really have a comedic foil
yeah. The
or
only thing
comedic foible, I meant to say.
foil, yeah, yeah. You probably could have he'd been like a background character in some teen romantic comedy.
Hmm.
Yeah, um,
Right, like he'd be the best friend in a rom-com or something.
yeah, yeah. But but yeah. So our actors end up getting lost in the
Oh,
jungle,
and
and
then,
then
and then the last one is Brandon T. Jackson as Al Pacino,
oh
who
yeah,
I
yeah,
noticed
yeah.
you were driving by a little bit, and that's because he kind of has the least to do in this movie, aside from being offended at Robert Downey Jr. Having be an Australian guy with an extremely stereotypical Southern black accent.
Yeah. What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people?
Yeah, it's like God, like they're stopping to make camp. Oh, uh, uh, oh man, you guys are in for a treat. Uh, there'll be some crawdads in that river, and I'll get some. I can turn these vegetables into, or I can turn these water plants into, or collard green up these water plants, and we'll be eating good. And there's Al Pacino just like getting so pissed off at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But okay, so we've got, yeah, but like you were saying, they go out to
Yeah.
shoot the movie, and horrible things happen. Um,
Yeah, and then they get lost in the jungle, and then they Stiller gets separated from him, and then he goes native.
is attacked by a vicious animal.
Yeah, it's a panda.
Other minor performances. This movie, you could argue, is why Tom Cruise managed to get back onto the career path
Yeah,
after the couch incident, where that kind of derailed him for a few years, just because he's playing a fat movie producer, Les
yeah,
Grossman, which is a genius pun. I realized after watching this when I was older and wiser.
yeah, yes. Yeah, and I remember watching like a behind the scenes video, and it was actually Tom Cruise's idea to give him these like big meaty hands
Yeah, like
and hairy arms. Yeah, yeah, he's just very vulgar and very angry movie producer.
yeah.
Yeah, he's um yeah, and I think doing this role, and yeah, being kind of being comedic and not taking himself too seriously, yes, I think scored a lot of points for him with the public.
Also, I hadn't seen very many Tom Cruise movies at the time, so when you get to the credits and they say Les Grossman played by Tom Cruise, I was like, "What?"
Yeah, yeah, he's almost unrecognizable. Yeah, he's kind of like like Colin Farrell in the Penguin. Like you just, yeah, you look at him like, what? No.
Yeah, only because I knew the gag, I could recognize his eyes and a bit of his facial structure. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely they put some effort into him.
Oh yeah. And last but not least, we got Ben Stiller's agent in the movie is played by Matthew McConaughey.
Because of course, yeah, 2000s, those two were attached to the hip in every movie.
Yeah. Well, actually, the agent was originally going to be played by Owen Wilson.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
but
a lateral move.
Yeah,
Oh wait, no,
Owen
I am
Wilson.
thinking of Owen Wilson. Duh.
Oh,
See,
okay.
I always lump them in my head as the same actor, so that's my bad.
They're both blonde Texans. They're about the same
Yeah.
age, so yeah, it's easy to get those two mixed up. But Owen Wilson, yeah, he was supposed to play the agent, but he was having some personal issues at the time, so he couldn't do it.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, he's McConaughey's just obsessed with getting Stiller his TiVo.
Right, because he only thinks that Stiller is looking at a different agency, so this is his way to prove. See, your contract said you get a TiVo. I brought you your TiVo.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so what ends up happening is they get into a real life
Actually,
situation. Yeah. Oh.
So if you've listened to all this and you've never seen this movie, why are you continuing to watch us? Go.
Yes.
Go now. It's like the last great American comedy that Hollywood put out before they got all PC and woke and afraid of offending people.
Yes. Yeah. And or catering to China. Yeah.
Yeah. Incidentally, because of the whole tariff nonsense going on right now, China is apparently boycotting Hollywood movies. And my first reaction was, good. Now they'll make them for Americans.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah. Go watch this movie. It's on Paramount Plus.
Or go rent it, or go find a Blu-ray or DVD somewhere. It's worth it. If you can
Yes.
find the DVD, I have listened to the commentary track on this before, though it's been a while. But remember, I mentioned that Robert Downey Jr.'s character mentions that he never breaks character until the commentary track.
Yes.
So he is in character as his blackface persona through most of the movie. Then, towards the end, when he starts taking that costume off, he switches to being his Australian persona. And then I think at the end he finally is back to being Robert Downey Jr. By the end of it. So it is worth a watch.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Nice.
I need to do that again.
Yeah, I need to do that. Yeah, because I've never seen it. But yeah, yeah.
All right, so now we can get into some more of it. I love the idea that, so yeah, like you were saying, he comes across a group of actual Vietnamese drug runners.
Yeah.
Who he is saved because they recognize him as Simple Jack from his failed Oscar bait movie.
Yeah.
Where he went full R-word.
Yes. Yeah, and then they make him reenact scenes from the movie.
Yep. You make me happy.
Oh, yeah, and what kills me is there's a little Apocalypse Now reference in there.
Right, when they come to rescue him, it's totally like, I didn't get this at the time, but now I totally okay. Like it's all visually Apocalypse Now with Robert Downey Jr. trying to bring him back and him going, "What are you talking about? I am home. I'm performing to a live audience 5 times a day. I won an Oscar." It's a little stick Oscar they made him.
Yeah. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. But yeah, that's the other thing. I kind of like when they do that. Put them in, put actors like this, and then actually put them in a real life or death situation. Kind of like with like Galaxy Quest or Three Amigos. Yeah.
Right. It's a fun trope because everybody can understand an actor, and also like imagine, oh man, what if the actor's situation suddenly turned real?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Let's see here. I don't have a whole lot of negatives about this. There are some jokes that, like if you see them coming because you've seen the movie before, don't land as hard as they did the first time, because there's like a good amount of this the comedy in this movie is based on shock value.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like that isn't like, your first time out, you're going to have an amazing time. And your second time out, you're bound to notice references you didn't notice before.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that too because it's because it's been about like at least 15 years since I watched this movie. Um,
I saw it in theaters, and I think I've seen it once since then.
yeah, I rented it on Netflix when it came out on DVD. Which back in my day, Netflix she did mail in DVDs.
They'd send you a piece of plastic what contained the movie, which was the style at the time.
Yeah. And you could keep it as long as you want, and when you're done, you just put it in the mail and they send you another one.
Or if you wanted to be fancy, you could have two at a time.
Ah. But yeah, I don't really have anything negative to say about it.
I think the only thing that, okay, it's kind of funny in retrospect. The choice to make Al Pacino's character be closeted homosexual, they
Yeah.
kind of reveal it when they're having the award ceremony for the movie they made based on their experience trying to shoot Tropic Thunder.
Yes. Yeah, because he's there with Lance Bass from
Yeah, like
NSYNC. Yeah.
oh, is that who that was? Okay, that's
Yeah.
even funnier.
Yeah.
But like his character was so hyper macho and everything,
Yeah.
and it's funny in retrospect because at the time that was a joke about haha, all these hyper masculine rappers are secretly gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Like, man, how the culture has changed in 15 years.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Ironically, it's like it almost is more just like accepting just because it's not rubbing your face in it. Like it is a joke, and like you could go kind of write it yourself and go, oh, his near life and death experience kind of made him realize that he should just be himself.
Yeah.
Although that isn't in the text of the movie, it's just something you could come up with.
Yeah. The other thing too I want to mention was when Stiller wins the Oscar.
Yeah.
And John Voight's sitting in front of him.
Yeah, it looks really disappointed that he didn't win.
Yeah, well, he actually did that with there was some movie. Yeah, he was nominated for an Oscar for, and he lost, and he was really mad about it. Might have been was it, I think Midnight Cowboy. It might have been that movie.
Okay.
But yeah, but that was a reference to that, so he was kind of poking fun at himself.
I think that's what makes this movie work is that everybody is willing to just have fun and swing for the fences and look ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
And the only one really playing themselves is Jack Black. Although I don't know that Jack Black has ever had a drug problem.
Yeah, I don't know. He might have.
He is the closest to just being himself in this.
Yeah,
one.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah, because Ben Stiller is not an action hero.
No, although dude is jacked in this movie, and this is before they would have had CGI to enhance him post hoc. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but yeah, don't think I have anything else.
A strong finish for I think a fairly mediocre week.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think we said all we needed to say. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always.
Indeed.
Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell, and if you will permit me a minute or two of shilling here. Guardian Angel Part 2 is, let me just refresh it real quick. Okay, yeah, still there. We are just at what's my math here? $265 to funding. 5 days left on the campaign, so we're very, very close.
If you're pissed off at how much a Switch 2 is going to be, consider backing this instead. It'll be half as much.
That's true, yeah. And probably more entertaining than something you might get on there. But yeah. We got the campaign ends on Monday, but you got time to back it if you haven't already.
Now, is it going to be Is it going to be, what do you call it?
In demand?
In demand, yes.
Yes, it'll go in demand. Yeah.
Yep. But FOMO, fear of missing out. Get in.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, and for those of you who, if you are new to the series and you haven't read part 1 or my first book, Angels Awakening, there's that tier right there, the newbie tier. You can get all 3 books. So, but yeah, back the campaign if you haven't yet, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.
And good night, Ninja. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good night, Ninja. Yep. See y'all later.